Is the screen visible? The slide?
Yes, sir.
So I think yesterday I had covered this. Price elasticity of demand, the formula, I think I have covered yesterday. Madide agide alva?
Yes, sir. Agide, sir.
Okay. And the different degrees, perfectly elastic demand, relatively elastic demand, unitary elastic demand, cover ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ವಾ?
Yes, sir. ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ, sir.
Yes. So I think I had stopped at this point. ಇನ್ನು ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. Okay. So this is where I had stopped, perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, today I'll start with determinants of price elasticity of demand, or the factors which affect the price elasticity of demand. Factors affecting price elasticity of demand. The first one is nature of the commodity. What type of commodity it is? If the commodity is a necessary commodity, if it is an essential commodity, then it would tend to be inelastic, because whether price increase or decrease, you have to purchase it, because people have to buy them whatever may be the price. Even if the price increases, they have to buy it because it is a necessity or it is an essential commodity. Then the commodity would be inelastic in its demand. Example, rice, milk, vegetables, and so on. Okay. So whether the price is 50 rupees or 55 rupees or 60 rupees, you have to buy rice, you have to buy milk, vegetables, and so on. If the commodity is a comfort, a luxury, then it tends to be elastic. That means if the price goes up, you will wait for the price getting lowered in the future. You can wait, okay? So comforts and luxuries tend to be elastic. For example, car, a refrigerator, and so on. Second determinant or the factor affecting price elasticity is existence of substitutes. If this is costly, can I purchase something else? Can I substitute some other commodity for this? It also affects the price elasticity of demand. If a commodity has no substitute in the market, you have to purchase it. You cannot use something else for this commodity. If that is the situation, then demand tends to be inelastic because you have to purchase it. Then, for example, salt, onion. So can you substitute something for salt? No. Can you use cabbage instead of onion? No, it is not possible. You have to purchase it. So in that case, because onion is used in almost all types of dishes, so it rarely has a substitute, so it is inelastic. If the substitutes are available, then the demand for such goods tends to be elastic. For example, toothpaste. If you can't get Colgate toothpaste, maybe you'll go for Pepsodent. If Pepsodent is not available, you'll go for Closeup. So there are substitutes available. Then the demand for Colgate toothpaste will be elastic. Then the third one is number of uses of commodity. For how many uses you can use the same commodity. Single-use goods and multiple-use goods. Single goods Okay, single-use goods are those items which can be used for only one purpose. Okay, and multiple-use goods can be used for a variety of purposes. If the good is a single-use good, then it tends to be inelastic. Okay, so use it, it gets exhausted, so you have to purchase it again. So it becomes inelastic. You have to purchase it. For example, seeds, fertilizers, pesticides in agriculture. Every season you have to purchase the seeds, you have to purchase the fertilizers, pesticides, and so on. So it becomes inelastic. But multiple use goods tend to be elastic because you can repair it, you can use it again and again. So durable goods. So electricity, in the sense that it can be used for multiple purposes, electricity, coal, etc. It becomes elastic. Okay, it's not durable. I'm not talking about durable here. We are talking about for how many uses you can use that particular good. Then it becomes elastic. Durability and repairability of the goods. If the goods can be repaired, it can be used for a long time, then it tends to be elastic in demand because people do not buy them frequently. Because you can use it, one thing is you can use it for a long time, and even if it gets faulty, you can get it repaired and use it again. So the demand will be elastic. Example, pump sets, sprayers, and so on. But perishable and non-repairable goods tend to be inelastic in demand because you have to purchase it again. For example, milk, vegetables. You cannot keep milk for a long time, so you have to purchase it again and again. Even the vegetables, they are inelastic in demand. Then the fifth determinant of price elasticity is possibility of postponing the use of a commodity. If you can postpone the use, elastic. If you cannot postpone the use, it is urgent, then it becomes inelastic. If there is no possibility to postpone the use of a commodity to future, the demand tends to be inelastic. Okay. For example, medicines, COVID season, COVID positive. Okay, so you have to use the medicine, you have to use the oxygen, and so on. Okay, so they become inelastic. If the use can be postponed, then the demand tends to be elastic. Or let us wait for the COVID-19 to totally get eradicated. So we'll wait. In that case, it becomes elastic. But vaccination has to be taken immediately. You cannot postpone it. It becomes inelastic. For example, car, TV set, and so on. You can postpone it. It is not that urgent. Okay. Then sixth one is level of income of the people. If the people are rich, then what do you expect? The demand to be inelastic or elastic? Generally, demand will be relatively inelastic in case of rich people because rich can afford to pay higher price. Even if the price goes up, They are ready to pay that amount and purchase it. So the demand for goods becomes inelastic if the people have more income, if they are rich, because change in market price will not alter and affect their purchase plans. They want to purchase a TV, it is 50,000 rupees. If the price goes up to 51,000, they don't mind. Another 1,000 rupees, yeah, let me pay, and they'll purchase it. The demand becomes inelastic. But demand tends to be elastic in case of poor. Even 1,000 rupees, it matters. Sometimes even 100 rupees matters. So demand tends to be elastic in case of poor. Then the seventh one is range of prices. Okay, how high is the price? How low is the price? This range of prices, they also affect the price elasticity of demand. There are certain goods like imported cars, maybe your Audi or something like that. Okay, LCD TV sets, which are costly in nature. Similarly, there are few goods like needles, nails, murder, okay, etc., which are low priced goods. What do you expect in case of imported goods which are very costly and those goods which are very low priced? In both the cases, it will be inelastic. In all these cases, a small change in prices will have insignificant effect on their demand. You want to purchase needles, okay, the price is only say 2 rupees, and if it becomes 2 rupees 25 paise, you don't mind, okay, let me purchase it. And imported car, anyway you are ready to pay 50 lakh rupees, suppose its price increases by another 25,000 rupees, you don't mind. When you are paying 50 lakh rupees, another 25,000, you say, okay, let me purchase it. So range of prices. Low price, very low priced, inelastic, very high price, they are also inelastic. Whereas the demand for them will be inelastic in nature. However, commodities having normal prices, 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, 500 rupees, 100 rupees, which are normal price, it is elastic in nature. Then eighth determinant of price elasticity, proportion of the expenditure on the commodity. Every month we have an estimated total expenditure. Okay, so every month I spend 25,000 rupees, or every month I spend 35,000 rupees. That is the total expenditure of my family per month. So it is known what proportion of the total expenditure is spent on this particular commodity. Okay, my monthly expenditure is 50,000 rupees. Out of that, I pay 10,000 rupees for house rent. I'm staying in a small house and monthly rent for the house is 10,000 rupees. Then the 10,000 rupees in the total 50,000 rupees expenditure is 20,000. Okay, 10,000 out of 50,000 is 20%. So 20% is the proportion of the expenditure on my house rent in the total expenditure. That is what it says, proportion of expenditure on a commodity. When the proportion of money income spent on buying a product is either too small or too big, demand tends to be inelastic. Very small proportion, yes. Very large proportion, then also, yes, it will be inelastic. Inevitable, we have to spend, we have to purchase it, we have to use it. So it becomes inelastic. For example, salt, newspaper, or house, and so on. If the amount of money spent is moderate, average, demand tends to be elastic. Example, clothes, grocery items like your rice, oil, dal, okay, and milk and so on. They tend to be elastic in that sense. Habits. If you continue the habits for a long time, it becomes addiction. Once you are addicted to a commodity, whatever may be the price, you will pay. It becomes inelastic. Like cigarettes. If you are habituated to cigarette smoking, then even if the price per packet goes up by 10 rupees, you are ready to pay, because without cigarettes, you think your brain doesn't work at all. So you want to think, you want to do some work. If you are addicted to cigarette, then you feel like lighting a cigarette before you start the work. In such cases, even if the price goes up, you are forced to pay that. It becomes elastic. Okay. When people are habituated for the use of a commodity, they do not care for price changes over a certain range. If it is 50 rupees per packet, and if it goes up to 60 rupees, you don't mind. But from 50 rupees, if it becomes 100 rupees, then you will start thinking. Then instead of 10 cigarettes a day, you will cut down it to 4 cigarettes a day. If the price doubles, then the demand becomes less. So it becomes relatively elastic. But from 50 rupees to 60 rupees or 65 rupees, it remains inelastic because you're addicted to that. The demand tends to be inelastic in such cases. Example, tobacco, liquor, and so on. Then 10th determinant of price elasticity of demand, period of time. Okay, how much time period you have to make the decision, how much time period you have to make the changes. If you want to make the change, then how much time you get, that is the period of time. If you get a lot of time to make the changes, then elastic. If you don't get time to make the changes, then it becomes inelastic. For example, okay, generally in the short period, demand is inelastic. Demand tends to be elastic in the long period where there is possibility of making all kinds of changes. We'll take one example. Suppose you are on a tour. Your family is going out some tourist place in a car. It is 1 week tour period. Okay, so you are on a tour traveling by car. Suddenly petrol price increases. It was 80 rupees per liter. Now it has gone up to 100 rupees per liter. Will you sell the car and return? Definitely not. You may curse. Okay, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಹಾಳಾಗೋಗ್ಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆ ಹಾಳಾಗೋಗ್ಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಬೆಲೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ನಮ್ಮಂತವ್ರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಬದುಕಬೇಕು. Okay, you may shout, you may curse, but anyway, you're halfway through your tour, you'll complete the tour and come back. Okay, so short run period. But in the short run, demand is price elastic. In the long run, what happens? Suppose the price goes up 80 rupees to 100 rupees, 120 rupees. What are the changes that you can make? Okay, you may buy fuel efficient car. You go for a car which gives you 30 kilometers per liter rather than 20 kilometers per liter. Or you may shift from petrol-based car to electricity-based car. Or you may ride a bicycle. You may go to the office. You may go to the college riding a bicycle. Go to office by city bus, metro train instead of driving the car. Or you may resort to carpool. Carpool is, suppose you are 5 friends Every day, all of you are coming to GKVK from Rajajinagar area in Bangalore, suppose, from Rajajinagar. Okay, so all of you are residing, staying in Rajajinagar, living in Rajajinagar. So if the petrol becomes very costly, instead of each one of you coming by car, what you can do is 5 of you can join together, form a car pool. Pooling is coming together. So today I see the name Arjun Reddy. Today all of you come by Arjun Reddy. Tomorrow all of you come by Devendra's car. Day after tomorrow it is Gavisideshwar's car, and fourth day Hemant's car, and fifth day maybe Shankar's car. So each day you go on changing the car so that all of you come by the same car and you save on petrol expenditure. Otherwise, each one of you had to spend money on petrol. So these are the changes you can make. In that case, it becomes elastic. Demand for petrol becomes elastic. Then 11th determining factor which affects price elasticity of demand is level of knowledge. Okay, if you have very good knowledge about the product, about the commodity, then it becomes, cheaper for you. If you don't know anything about the commodity, when you go to the market, yeah, you know what happens. Okay, demand would be elastic in case of enlightened customer. You go to the market to buy rice. If the trader says 80 rupees per kg, you will not agree. You'll bargain with him and you'll say it is 50 rupees everywhere. If you are ready to offer rice at 50 rupees per kg, I'll buy. Otherwise, I'll go to the next shop, because you know about rice, its price, the quantity, and all the information you have about rice. Generally, people know about rice prices, and so on. But if it is some electronic good, I think I had mentioned earlier, you go to Burma Bazaar, Hong Kong Bazaar, or some bazaar in Majestic area in Bangalore. You enter there, everyone will start calling you bunny, 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 bunny. You purchase from us, so it is the latest one and all. And he'll say 5,000 rupees. This maybe recorder is worth 5,000 rupees. I'll give you at 4,000 rupees. Okay. And most of the times, the customers who go there, they'll not be having fair knowledge about the product, the price, and so on. If they quote 4,000 rupees, they'll ask for 2,000 rupees, but the actual price will be 1,000 rupees. Okay. So, inelastic in case of ignorant customer, imported electronic goods. And the 12th determinant, the factor, is existence of complementary goods. Okay, that means two goods have to be used together. They go hand in hand. Complementary goods. Goods which are jointly demanded are relatively inelastic in nature. Car and petrol. If you want to drive car, then you have to purchase petrol also. The demand is joint demand. In that case, the price would be inelastic. Example, pen and ink, shoes and socks. Okay, so if you want to use pen, here we are talking about fountain pen, where you fill the ink into the pen and write. Pen and ink, it goes together. Shoes and socks. If you want to, some people, they use the shoes, they don't use socks, but generally it is the two go together, shoes and socks. Complementary goods, relatively inelastic demand. And 13th factor is purchase frequency, how frequently you purchase it. Okay, the essentials usually you purchase very frequently. Luxuries and other things you purchase rarely. Okay, not frequently. If the frequency of purchase is high, the demand tends to be inelastic. For example, coffee, tea, milk, matchbox, and so on. they are relatively inelastic. But if people buy a product occasionally, not frequently, the demand tends to be elastic, like computer, tractor. Tractors, farmers don't purchase every year. Once they purchase it, they'll use it for another 10 or 15 years. In such cases, the demand will be elastic. Now, how to measure the price elasticity? Okay. Measurement of price elasticity. There are three methods which can be applied to measure the price elasticity. One is the proportional method. It is what you measure here using the proportional method is the arc elasticity. That is between 2 points. Between 2 points is arc elasticity, or you can also call it as arc elasticity method. The second one is the geometric method. It is also referred to as the point elasticity. So you are measuring the elasticity at a given point, 1 point. But arc elasticity, it is between 2 points. Arc elasticity, point elasticity. And the third one is the total outlay method. The total outlay is nothing but the total expenditure. How much is the expenditure because of the increase in price, change in demand, and so on? What is the total expenditure? Okay, so these are the three methods available or used to measure the price elasticity. I'll start with proportional method, that is measuring the arc elasticity. The coefficient of price elasticity of demand between 2 points on a demand curve is called arc elasticity. This method is suggested to measure large changes in both price and demand. If you want to measure the elasticity when there is a small change, from 100 rupees, it increased to 101 rupee, 102 rupees, small change. Then you go for geometric method or the point elasticity. But if the change is larger, from 100 rupees to 120 rupees, there is 20% change or 10% change. Then you go for arc elasticity or proportional method. So proportional method, it is easier to understand it with example. Okay, let us say this is the demand schedule. Okay, and point here, it refers to the point on the demand curve. Using the price and quantity, they form the demand schedule. Using the demand schedule, if you draw the demand curve, so A is the point where price is 8 and quantity is 0. B is the point on the demand curve where the price is 7 rupees and quantity demanded is 1000 rupees. And L is the point on the demand curve where the price is only 1 rupee and the quantity demanded is 7000. And M is the point where price has become 0 and quantity demanded would be, if the price comes down to 0 rupees, the demanded, this is more theoretical, okay, 8000 units of the quantity, the commodity. So with this table, we'll try to work out the elasticity in all the three methods, okay, arc elasticity, point elasticity, as well as total expenditure method. So just remember, you don't have to mug up the values. You just remember this, 8 rupees to 0 rupees, 0 units to 8000, 8, 8000, 7, 7000, 6, 6000. It is just to make the exercise easier. Okay, so 8 to 0, price decreases, quantity increases from 0 to 8000 units. These are the points. Okay, now using this information, let us draw the demand curve. Let us see how it looks like. The points are A, B, C, D. We have not used E here because E usually we use the letter E to represent elasticity. Okay, that's why we have not used E here. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, L, M, and so on. Okay, this is the demand curve. Okay, so these are the points A, B, C, D, F, G, H, L, M. The prices 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And the quantity 0, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, and so on. Okay. So this is the demand curve. X-axis representing quantity, Y-axis representing the price. Of course, 8 is the choke price. Okay. Beyond which the consumer would say, I don't want to purchase anything. So at 8 rupees, the demand becomes, quantity demanded becomes 0. That is the choke price. The other day, last week, we had come across that choke price, the concept of choke price. Okay. So this is the demand curve. Now, how to measure the price elasticity using arc elasticity method or proportional method. Arc elasticity, suppose it is between the points B and D. Earlier I mentioned arc elasticity, it refers to measurement of elasticity between 2 points. For example, let us take B and D as the 2 points. B is here in the graph, D is here. These are the 2 points. And what is the price elasticity when we move from B to D? So this coefficient EP is equal to percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in the price of the commodity. Okay. The formula, yesterday we have derived this. Okay. Delta Q by delta P into P by Q. Change in quantity by change in price multiplied by original price and original quantity. Okay, so it can be written as Q2 minus Q1. This is the change in quantity, Q2 minus Q1. Q1 is the original quantity, Q2 is the new quantity. So P2 minus P1, P2 is the new price, P1 is the original price. So original price by original quantity. This is the formula. Now we are moving from B to D. B is the original point and D is the new point. Okay, B is the original point, D is the new point. So B and D, original point and new point. Okay, now the formula says Q2 minus Q1, which is new point here, D. How much is the quantity here? 3,000 units. So Q2 is 3,000 minus Q1. Q1 is the original one, B. So that is 1,000. So 3,000 minus 1,000 divided by P2 minus P1, which is the new point B, which is the corresponding price, new price, 5 rupees. So 5 minus original price, 7. 5 minus 7 into P1 by Q1. Original price, original point is B, original price is 7, original quantity is 1,000. So 7 by 1,000. So 3,000 minus 1,000, 2,000 divided by 5 minus 7 minus 2 into 7 by 1,000. If you solve this, so 2,000 by minus 2 is minus 1,000 into 7. So minus 7,000 divided by 1,000, it is minus 7. And yesterday I had mentioned, I repeat here today, we ignore the sign. In case of price elasticity of demand, we don't consider the sign. We ignore the sign, so it is 7. When we move from B to D, suppose instead of moving from B to D, we move from D to B in the reverse way, D to B. That means D is the original point and B is the new point. What happens to the coefficient of price elasticity? That we'll look into in the next slide. Okay, so arc elasticity, when you move from D to B, okay, the formula is the same, delta Q by delta P into P by Q, Q2 minus Q1 by P2 minus P1 into P1 by Q1. But now there is a slight change here. Q2, which is the new point here, B. So which is the new quantity here, 1000. So it is 1000. Q2 is 1000, which is the original point B, corresponding original quantity 3000. So 1000 minus 3000, which is the new point here, B. The price is 7 rupees, 7 minus new point is D, and the old quantity is point is D. So old price is 5, old quantity is 3000. So 7 minus 5 into 5 by 3000. If you solve this, you'll get minus 1.67. The points are same, B and D. In one, we move from B to D, and in another one, we move from D to B between the same 2 points, but the price elasticity would be different. The coefficient would be different. We get a different value for EP if we move from B to D than if we move from D to B. Okay, this difference results because we use a different base in computing the percentage changes in each case. Okay, now if you go back to the previous slide, look at the numerator and look at the denominator. Okay, so it is minus 2000 by 2, 5 by 3000. In the previous line, okay, it is 2000 divided by minus 2. So numerator is 2000. In one, it is negative. In another one, it is positive. Denominator is 2. Here it is negative. In the next one, it is positive. But the values are the same. Only the signs are different. Whereas this is the base. Okay, original quantity, original price. The base, it is different. Here it is 7 and 1000. Okay, but in the next one, it is 5 and 3000. So original quantity, original price, which is the base, they are different. That's what it says. This difference results minus 7 and minus 1.67. This difference results because we use a different base in computing the percentage changes in each case. Because the base that we use are different, the figures we get for coefficient of price elasticity, they are also different. Now, how to solve this problem? We'll look into that in the next slide. Okay, so we can avoid getting different results by using the average of the two prices. P2 plus P1, 5 and 7, take the average. And average of the two quantities, Q2 plus Q1 divided by 2, taking the average, because there are two figures, P1 and P2, divided by 2, you get the average. So average of the two prices and average of the two quantities, instead of either P2 and Q2 or P1 and Q1. Because earlier we took P2 by Q2, and in the next one we took P1 by Q1. Instead of that, you take the average of two prices, average of two quantities. So the formula becomes EP is equal to delta Q by delta P into, instead of P1 by Q1, or instead of Q2 by, P2 by Q2, we'll take P2 plus P1 divided by 2, that is for the average, Q2 plus Q1 divided by 2. Here, 2 and 2 are common, they get cancelled. So you are left with P2 plus P1 in the numerator and Q2 plus Q1 in the denominator. So the formula becomes, instead of delta Q by delta P into Q1 by P1, P1 by Q1, delta Q by QP, delta P into P1 by Q1, will take P2 plus P1 divided by Q2 plus Q1, or P1 plus P2 by Q1 plus Q2. If you take the average, that problem will be solved, and whether you move from B to D or D to B, the coefficient value will be the same. Now, you are taking the average. Applying this modified formula to find EP, either for a movement from B to D or from a movement from D to B, we get, suppose you move from B to D, you are moving from B to D. Delta Q by delta P, that is Q2 minus Q1 by P2 minus P1 into P2 plus P1 divided by Q2 plus Q1. So 3000 minus 1000, it was the same earlier, now it is the same. But here, and 5 minus 7, it was also same earlier. But the change we have made is here, instead of taking only 7, we are taking 5 plus 7. Instead of taking only 3000 rupees, we are taking 3000 plus 1000. Or rather 1000, we are taking 3000 plus 1000. So 2000 divided by minus 2, the numerator remains the same, but the denominator becomes 12 by 4000. So it works out to minus 3. Your elasticity will be minus 3 when you move from D to B. We ignore the sign, of course. And suppose you are moving from B to D, then also it will be same. Okay, the formula is same. The numerator, instead of 3000 minus 2000, it will be 1000 minus 3000. So instead of positive 2000, you have negative 2000. Instead of 5 minus 7 and minus 2, you have 7 minus 5, positive 2, plus 2. It remains the same. But denominator, again, it is, instead of 5 plus 7, it is 7 plus 5. Instead of Instead of 3000 plus 1000 in the previous one, it is 1000 plus 3000. The denominator will also be same, 12 divided by 4000. Your elasticity would be minus 3. So this is the modification that is made to overcome the problem of getting different EP values when you move from one point to the other in one direction and the opposite direction or the reverse direction. This is about the proportional method. Now, we'll take up the geometric method or the point elasticity. Okay, point elasticity, calculating the price elasticity at a given point, one point. The coefficient of price elasticity of demand at any given point is called point elasticity. For example, here we take C as the point. Earlier we had taken B and D. Now we take a point. You can take any point, it doesn't matter. Just for example, we have taken C. Okay, C as the point. Now, Q2 minus Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 into P1 by Q1 is the formula. In this graph, okay, we want to find out how much is Q2, how much is Q1, P2, and P1, and substitute it here. Since we are taking only one point, what could be the new point and original point? So C is the original point, and the new point will be the maximum. That is 0 price and maximum quantity 8,000, because we don't know. Okay, so it is assume 0 and 8,000. Okay, so new quantity O to M. O to M is the new quantity. Okay, minus, what is the point here? C. C is the point of consideration. Okay, and the quantity at point C is ON. Okay, ON. So new quantity OM, original quantity ON divided by new price. So new price is 0 or O. Okay, 0. So O minus, which is the original price? Point is C. So this one, it is NC. NC is the price. It is equal to 6 rupees. Okay, NC is the price minus NC into NC, the original price, NC divided by original quantity, that is OM. So your formula would be OM minus ON divided by O minus NC into NC by ON. Okay. So what is OM minus ON? Look at the figure here. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now OM minus ON. OM. So OM is this length. OM minus ON. ON is this portion. So OM minus ON, what is left? NM. Okay, NM. So that is your NM. Okay, O minus NC. O 0 minus NC. It is minus NC. O is 0. 0 minus NC is minus NC into NC by ON, which was there earlier. NC by ON. Now NC and NC, they are same. We ignore the sign. Price elasticity of demand, we ignore the sign. So NC and NC, they get cancelled. So we are left with NM by ON. NM divided by ON. Okay. Now, ON is what? It is the quantity when the point is C. Okay. ON, NM. Suppose instead of C, we take B as the point, then your N will come here, not this point. This is N is not permanent here. If B is the point, then 3000 will be N. If G is the point, then 5000 will be N. If L is the point, then 7000 will be the N here. Okay, so N moves along the x-axis depending upon which point you consider. Okay, so if B is the point, so 0 to N here, NM will be this. Suppose L is the point, then ON will be this, and NM will be only 7000 to 8000. Did you get that? So here in this example, at point C, okay, NM, that is from this point to this point, that is 6000, because 2000, 8000, 2000 here, 8000, NM. So the difference between 8000 and 2000 is 6000 divided by ON. ON is 2000. So 6000 by 2000, it is minus 3. Because we have the minus sign, we ignore that. So it is minus 3. Okay. I hope you have understood.
Sir, please explain this P2 and P1, sir. Why we are taking?
Because You don't have other point.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
In case of B and D, there were 2 points. You were taking one as the new one and one as the original one. But here you have only one, so you take 0 and M, okay, as the new one. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, in a straight line demand curve, okay, this is the general rule. A general rule, okay. If the demand curve is a straight line, okay, a straight line demand curve extended to both axes. So y-axis, it touches y-axis, it touches x-axis. If it doesn't touch, suppose it is only from B to L, you can join it with dotted lines from B to A. You can join it from L to M to the x-axis with dotted line, okay? If it is a straight line, demand curve is a straight line, then it is elastic above its midpoint. Which is the midpoint here? F. Above F, you have D, C, B, A, 4 points. Below F, you have G, H, L, M, 4 points. Above F, you have 4 points. Below F, you have 4 points. So F is the midpoint. Any point above the midpoint, it is elastic. And midpoint, it is unitary elastic. That means elasticity will be equal to 1 at the midpoint. Elasticity, coefficient of elasticity would be greater than 1 above the midpoint. So it is elastic. Any point below the midpoint, the coefficient of elasticity would be inelastic. That means it would be less than 1. I repeat, midpoint equal to 1. Any point above midpoint greater than 1. Any point below midpoint less than 1. This is the general rule. We'll just check this. Okay, just for illustration. In the above example, midpoint is F. Then price is 4 rupees. Midpoint F. The price is 4 rupees and quantity is 4,000. At F, 4,000. 4 rupees, 4,000. Now, EP is equal to NM by ON. You know the formula, NM by ON. So NM. So now this 4,000, at 4,000, you have N. N moves to this point because F is the point of consideration. Okay. So N will be here. NM, it is 4,000, 8,000. The difference is 4,000. Divided by ON, N is here. So 0 to this point, 4,000. So 4,000 divided by 4,000, it is equal to 1. So at midpoint, your EP will be equal to 1. It is unitary elasticity, equal to 1. We'll check 1 point, just for example, 1 point above midpoint and 1 point below midpoint to show that it will be elastic above, it will be inelastic below, or it will be greater than 1 above, less than 1 below. Okay. So above midpoint at point B, just for example, we have taken the point B. At point B, where price is equal to 7 rupees. B, price is 7 rupees and quantity is 1,000 units. NM by OM. So your N comes here now. Your B, N is here. So NM will be 1,000 to 8,000. So difference between 1,000 and 8,000 is 7,000. Divided by ON. ON, N is here. So ON is 1,000. So 7 by 1,000 is 7. It is positive. It is great. Sorry. It is positive, but greater than 1. Midpoint, it was 1. Any point above midpoint, it is greater than 1, elastic. You take 1 point below the midpoint. let us say it is H, okay, where price is rupees 2. At H, price is rupees 2, quantity is 6,000. Okay, at H, quantity is 6,000. So your N comes here. N moves here because this is the point. Okay, now here, NM, it is 6,000 to 8,000. Difference is only 2,000. So NM is 2,000 divided by N is here 6,000, 0 to 6,000. So 6,000, 2,000 by 6,000, it is 0.33. So any point below the midpoint, it would be inelastic. It would be less than 1. Okay, so in case of point elasticity method, EP is measured only when changes in price and quantity demanded are small. So while discussing about arc elasticity, I mentioned if the proportion of change is larger, go for arc elasticity. If the proportion of change is small, then you go for point elasticity. Okay, this is what it says. I have 3 more minutes. Let me check. Yeah, total expenditure method. Okay, this is the third method. We use the same example, same table, same graph, and so on. Okay. Now, total outlay of the consumer is also the total revenue of the seller, right? Suppose I spent 5,000 rupees to purchase maybe some books, okay, in a bookshop. I spent 5,000 rupees to purchase the book. For me, 5,000 rupees is the expenditure, but for the bookshop owner, it is the revenue, it is the income. So when we say total expenditure or total outlay, it is for the consumer, but for the seller, it is the total income or the total revenue. Okay, so total expenditure method. The price elasticity is measured by comparing the total expenditure of the consumers or total revenue. Revenue is income, total income from the point of view of the seller before and after the variations in price. If the price increases, then what was the expenditure before the increase in price, and what is the expenditure, total expenditure after the price increased? Okay, so the price elasticity is measured by comparing the total expenditure of the consumers or total revenue from the point of view of the seller before and after variations in price. Okay, 1 more minute. So as the price falls, what happens? As the price falls, you can imagine in the graph, okay, you are moving from top to bottom. Okay, so price falls. When new expenditure is greater than the original expenditure, when the price comes down, if the new expenditure is greater than the original expenditure, then your coefficient will be greater than 1 and vice versa. That means if the price increases and the expenditure is lesser, then it will be less than 1. Okay, so vice versa. When new expenditure is equal to the original expenditure, then EP will be equal to 1 when the price decreases. And the last one, when the new expenditure is less than the original expenditure, when the price falls, when the price decreases, your EP will be less than 1. We'll show it with help of table and also the graph. I think now the time is up. Yavaga class ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ ಗವಿಸಿದ್ದೇಶ್ವರ ಅವರೇ? Maybe I need another 1 hour or 1.5 hours. 1 ಗಂಟೆ ಅಥವಾ 1.5 ಗಂಟೆ.
ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಬೇಗ
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್,
ಬೇಗ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳಿ.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Divakara BP, thank you.
Record.